Hello and welcome back. I'm just outside of Bude actually. I'm parked in the country lane. There is actually a car park or an area I believe dedicated to this place I'm actually at now. But I'll take you inside that gate and show you. It's a community owned little woodland. And on the back of that there is a notice board just inside the gate to give you some information on this actual place, and it's quite helpful and useful, and it gives you a little bit of background knowledge to the actual community woodland itself. So I'm going to make my way into this gate. There's the, well, standard sign you get everywhere these days, just telling people it's at your own risk, and it's a community woodland, so you know that's just standard and part and parcel of these days. And as you come straight in the gate, I'll just shut the gate, you're presented with a sign giving you all the information that you should need. And it's a bit overgrown, but it's the Heel Valley Trail, and I'm just going to plod along and do my little bit of observations, because like I said, this is the first time I've been here, but by all accounts it looks like it's going to be extremely pleasant. So starting off here, there is a traffic noise from the A39. You can't help that because obviously that is the main road that runs from Camelford to Bude, and subsequently we're starting this walk right beside it. But first impressions, you have to go straight up over a hill. There's tall grass either side, and it looks like the path and track is pretty well mown, so I'll make my way up it and let's see what's on offer. And first off the bat, I've just come to a little clump of these little trees. As I was walking past, I just thought it was like very small sycamores, but I think it could actually be maple. I'm not sure on that, and I'll have to do a little bit more work on investigating those leaves to actually see if it is maple. But there's freshly planted new species, native hazel, oak, there's ash in here, there's all sorts of other shrubs and bushes. So, you know, impressions straight off the bat, it does look like it's a good wildlife habitat. But I'm climbing up the hill, and I'll just, well, pan you round, and you can see Bude in the distance, but we're still to lose that traffic noise. The track continues up this hill, and you know, it's easy identifiable because it's mowed grass. And I should imagine this is where I'll end up coming back on this section. And in the distance, the houses over there are the village of Marham Church. But I'm going to continue up here. The field next to me is, well, already ploughed, it's levelled, and I should imagine there's crops in there waiting to come up. But we have a spectacular view now. We're gaining some height over some nice pleasant countryside. It's just a shame about that traffic noise. The wind is actually onshore, so you know, I should imagine if it was an offshore wind you wouldn't get that traffic noise. There is other little tracks and paths that lead off into little areas and down into other pathways, but I'm going to do the actual circular, so I will continue walking. I've seen an abundance of rabbits. There's no shortage of them here. So my initial thoughts just doing this little bit here is that it's an extremely pleasant place to be, considering its location so close to a holiday town like Bude. There is a lot of wildlife. There's like I said, there's an abundance of rabbits. There's loads of different varieties of plants and flowers that are in bloom, or seeds coming on the various grasses. And there is a real big selection of trees, like native trees that have been planted, I would guess, you know, less than 10 years, you know, and that's just my observation. But it's already turning to be very pleasant. I haven't met anybody, so it may be one of those places that is like a little bit of a hidden gem. So following this pathway I've come across young cattle, and I presume they're here to give it a natural grazing sort of like management to the actual area. You know, if you do bring a dog, obviously it would need to be on a lead and under control, that's without saying, because you know, it's blatantly obvious that there's agricultural livestock in here. I'm looking down onto an old farm there and across the valley to Marham Church, and in the distance you can see the church spire itself. These cattle here that I was just talking about seem to be the same ones that are in this field. So whether they are here for management or they've escaped into this wildlife area or community woodland, I'm not entirely sure. But you know, the fact that they're here just serves to remind you that you know, like I said, if you have a dog, just be aware that this situation you could end up walking on or into. And those runners are the first people I've seen on this trail. They're obviously local, but yeah, it seems like this is underused, I would say, this community woodland. Got a chestnut tree there, oak, ash, another ash, some pines further in, and what I'm presuming is an English maple. And yeah, it is really diversely been, it's been planted very, I would say very sympathetically. There's a big diversity of trees and plants all the way around. And I'm beginning to lose that noise now as I head around this corner. The traffic noise has been with me. You know, that's the only off-putting thing that I can say about this place at the moment. Spectacular countryside. Church spire. And I'm continuing along this path. It's reasonably easy going, and even though there are some gradients here, the ground is quite well kept. In the distance you got the cliffs there dropping down on the horizon, and Malook would sit underneath them. Countryside leading to the built up areas of Bude itself. You can just see a mast there, and the War Memorial would be nearby. You can see the sea in the distance, and that is where the harbour would be. Yet again Bude, and the radial masts, or dishes shall I say, of GCHQ. And coming around to countryside again. And a split in the path. I'm going to take the left hand one and see where that takes me. So where I am now, the car noise is irrelevant. It's just a very, very faint hum. So from the very beginnings, that was quite evidently, you know, an annoyance really, considering this is a community woodland. You couldn't escape it or do anything about it because obviously it's a main arterial road. But here in the back end of the actual community wood, it's no longer an issue. You don't even notice it, and it's the faintest of hums. And I would suggest if the wind was any other direction except onshore, you wouldn't even hear it back here. Some stunning vibrant yellow buttercups there, and indeed there's a lot of wildflowers populating the hedge and even the areas which have been cut. Certain parts of this community woodland, you come across well-trodden parts, you know, and in this time of year it's very easy going. Possibly a little bit muddy if it was wet or in the winter months, but yeah, it's still easy going underfoot, and I can recommend this for pretty much most people. And this truly is what I'm more used to myself personally, living more in the remoter parts of North Cornwall. But this represents what I expect, and to be honest with you, think of as a woodland. And I'm glad to see that there are parts to this community woodland that still hold that value. I've got birds singing, insects buzzing around, everything's coming to life, and it actually feels now extremely pleasant to be here. As a kid, I can remember grabbing handfuls of this and throwing on your mates' backs and having fights with it, seeing who can cover the person the most with it. It's the fine hairs on it which really makes it so sticky. I don't think we were the only ones that did that. And it used to come home and you'd find it everywhere on you. This is pretty much the lowest point now, getting into the bottom of the valley. And there's tracks down there, and you can just about make out a river down there. And I believe this is called the river walk part of the actual trail. And the ground here has a lot of stone into the footpath, so I should imagine this would never get too boggy. Yet again, there is another information board, and it's headed with Southwest Forest. It is a woodland, it's not a forest, but obviously that's the organisation that is probably the overall caretaker to this valley trail. This path here takes you down to the car park, and it's where the official car park is. Where I've parked is just somewhere that I use because I usually go to another footpath, and I'll show you that in a moment. Down by the river there's a load of midges flying around, hovering around. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's that time of year, and if there is any fish in this river, they'll be feasting on those. It is extremely tranquil down here. It's only interrupted by the old dog barking, because obviously this is possibly a favourite place for dog walkers, and you know, you would have to expect that on a trail like this. In the car park you do actually have picnic benches, so you'd be able to have somewhere to sit down and have refreshments and let the kids play. And it's quite calming, because it's like just a big grassy meadow. I'm now taking the bottom path, and this one will lead me hopefully back to where my vehicle is, and I can take you on another footpath. A footpath that is leading me to the coast, but I can actually see fish actually broaching the surface down there, so there is fish in this river. As you can see, it's really tranquil, and it's very pleasant and pleasing, and it's calming actually to hear the gentle water rolling down over the stones. But I've still got to make my way down through this path, and as I said earlier, it's a good path. It's got stones, so I don't think that you'd have any problems, even if it was slightly damp. Well, I've encountered the lowest part, and obviously it's a little bit boggy, but it shouldn't get too bad. I should imagine you'd be able to negotiate this no matter what the actual weather conditions. Well, as it turns out, those cows weren't supposed to be there. They weren't there for natural management. They should have been in the other side of the fence with their friends. I've just met the farmer who came jogging up to me, slightly out of breath, asking me, have I seen some cows? There's been a report that they've escaped, and I pointed him in the direction, and I've just heard him zooming up along the top track to round up his cattle. So yeah, they weren't there for management. They shouldn't have been there. This bottom path is extremely charming, and I should imagine most people would really appreciate this. The gentle trickle of water, nice easy path beside it, stunning greenery, woods above you, and when it's not too busy like this, I should imagine you'd be hard pressed not to come away from here happy with this little walk. It's just far enough for people to have had a walk, but it's not taxing by any means. Just listen to that bird song. Magnificent. I've just come down that track there, and there's a load of other tracks broaching off. But I presume if I go up this actual slope here, it'll take me back to where I first entered this woodland and to that gate. So I've made it back to the gate where I started, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And like I said, the actual road noise disappears the further you get into that woodland, which is very pleasing. I was suspecting that road noise to actually stay, but it did disappear. I'm back at my car. You can see I went surfing this morning, but I'm going to have a quick drink, then I'm going to make my way down this lane. That gateway there can take you to a path which will take you down to the canal system and footpaths leading into Bude itself, but I'm not going that way. I'm heading around here into a small little built up area by a bridge, and I will cross the road and make my way into the footpaths. And this is part of the old canal system here. And down there. And this is the little built up area I was talking to you about. And we still have to continue down this lane for a fraction of time. And this is the A39. And as you can see, it's a busy road. After crossing that road, I come to another part of the canal system, which leads to a cafe. You can hire bikes, and it has a lot of amenities for holiday makers and people just to eat, chill out and relax. It is a thoroughly nice place overlooking a lake with wildfowl, ducks, geese and everything of that vein. And we have a gentleman fishing down there on the lake. I would have no idea what type of fish would be in there, but it's got to be a peaceful, relaxing thing to do here. And that's the cafe up there, and it's got good food. You can sit inside and have something, sit outside, or just have a coffee and chill out, or ice creams for the kids. It is a really nice atmospheric place to be with beautiful views. And this is where the public footpath starts, and as you can see there's a warning straight off the bat: keep your dogs on leads. But I'm going to make my way through and following the path up across this field. There is a little bit of wind noise due to it being onshore conditions, and just over the top of these hills you'll get your first view of the Atlantic Ocean. But yeah, we're just going to push up over this hill. That's the next part of my footpath there, but I'll just pan you around so you can see where I am and what it looks like. Yet again, till we lose that traffic noise, it's just a feature because it's a main road. And it's clearly marked, we will not be getting lost on this one. And it's straight up through the centre of this field. So I've just made it through another sty and I'm on top of the hill, and it's all level going for me until I start to drop down into Woodlands. Yet again, I've lost the traffic noise from the A39 and I can hear birds singing, and it's as I would like it to be. So if you ever do contemplate any of this walk I'm doing, even if it's this part or the woodland part, just bear with it for a while, and as you continue walking you will lose that road noise. But it's levelled out like I just said, and it's perfectly easy going. It's on tractor tracks. I should imagine this gets pretty boggy during the winter, but when you're walking under these conditions where it's all dry, it is still worth noting, watch your footing, because with the tractor tracks and things like that, you could quite easily twist an ankle. So that's just a word of note. And in effect, you can actually see a lot of people have just been using the actual centre part of the actual track to try to avoid the actual tractor tracks themselves. But that in itself isn't a guarantee, because there are some large stones in amongst all the grass. So that there is the village of Woodlands, or Woodlands Bay, and then you have the cliffs that if you were to walk them on the southwest coastal path, you would end up at Crackington, Boscastle, Tintagel, and then making your way down to Polseth, and you would cross the Camel Estuary over to Padstow. There is surf down there, and I'm sure there's plenty of people enjoying it. I've already had my fill of surf, so I no longer feel compelled to jump in. But this is a fantastic view, and one that many people from all over the UK come to experience. So I've continued along the footpaths, crossed the road or coastal road, and I've made my way onto the public footpath, which takes you to the southwest coast path, which would run through Woodlands. I'm actually currently down at the beach, or on the walk into the beach, and I'll quickly show you. So I've just walked down this path here, and you get to overlook Salthouse, this part of Woodlands, and it's predominantly reef and boulders. But over there is Woodlands, and over there is a vast expanse of sand, and it's kid friendly. It has all the amenities you could want, something to eat and drink, and you could have a thoroughly enjoyable day. Just sat on the road is Woodlands Bay Manor, and that is a nice pub to have a pint after you've surfed, something to eat, and allow the kids to play on the play equipment and enjoy your after surf session, or indeed after you've just walked these paths, Woodlands, and you're on your way back to your vehicle, you could have a thoroughly enjoyable hour or two just admiring the view in there. As I walk down the last little bit of path before you hit Widmouth Bay, proper as in the main beach most people would be coming for, you can quite clearly see the expanse of sand. It is a vast area, and indeed you could have a extremely pleasant time here, and most people that come here always come away happy. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little walk through a community Woodlands, through the footpaths and now down to here on the beach. I'm going to make my way back through the route I came and back to my vehicle. You too could do that and experience your Woodlands, footpaths and a beach all in one hit. It's a nice little walk, so I'm going to make my way back home. I've got things to do and I hope you enjoyed that. So I hope to see you on the trail again. It's Andy from Folklore Hiking Sticks.